You know that moment, when you wake up and the silence feels heavier than it should. It's not the peaceful kind of quiet. It's the kind that hums beneath your skin, like the world outside is moving, but somehow you've fallen out of rhythm with it. Through the window the city breathes. Cars glide past. A bus engine rumbles down the block. Someone laughs on the street below. That quick, careless laughter of people who still believe life is simple. You can hear it, but you can't feel it. You roll out of bed, brush your teeth, check your phone, scrolling through other people's mornings, smiles, coffee mugs, perfect routines. Someone posts, "Grateful today." Another, "Back on my grind." You type, "Yeah, I'm good," even though your reflection in the bathroom mirror looks like someone trying too hard to convince themselves that's true. You're not fine. You're tired. Not just physically. Soul tired. The kind of tired that seeps into your bones, the kind that no amount of sleep or caffeine can fix. You've been holding it together for everyone else. Smiling through the questions. Being the reliable one, the strong one, the "you've got this" person. But somewhere along the way you forgot what it feels like to be honest. To exhale. To say, "I'm not okay," and let that be enough. And maybe that's why you're here right now. Because something deep inside you, that small, quiet voice you keep trying to drown out, finally whispered, "I can't keep pretending." You didn't come here for a pep talk. You've heard all the fake positivity before, the "just be grateful," the "stay strong," the "everything happens for a reason." But that's not what this space is. This is where we talk about the truth, the kind that stings before it soothes, the kind that cracks you open, just enough to let some light in. If you've ever smiled when you wanted to cry or said, "I'm fine," while your chest was caving in, this one's for you. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't to fight harder. It's to finally stop pretending you're okay. So stay with me. Not because I have the answers, but because maybe, like me, you're just ready to feel real again. Ready to understand what honesty sounds like when it's spoken softly, without fear of judgment or shame. And if right now, as you listen, you feel that quiet tug in your chest and that almost unexplainable pull that says, "This is what I needed to hear today," then let that be your first act of truth. Pause for a second. Breathe. And if it feels right, not out of obligation but out of connection, leave a small mark of honesty here. Like this video, subscribe to Honest Clown, and in the comments, write just one line. Something real, something simple, something that says, "I'm ready to stop pretending." Because maybe healing doesn't begin with grand decisions or perfect timing. Maybe it starts right here, with a whisper, a breath, and a single honest choice to show up as you are. There's a difference between peace and silence. You might not notice it right away because from the outside they look the same. A quiet room, a calm morning, no one arguing, no phone buzzing, no chaos spilling over, just stillness. But if you listen closely, there's something off about that stillness. It's not calm, it's compressed. It's the kind of silence that hums beneath the surface, like the low vibration of a refrigerator in the corner of your apartment. Always there, never resting. You sit at the kitchen table in your small one-bedroom apartment, the blinds half open, the morning light slicing through the dust in thin lines. Outside, the world is moving. A delivery truck idles at the curb, brakes hissing. Someone's dog barks down the block and the faint smell of coffee drifts in from the cafe at the corner of the street. The city is alive, but somehow, you're not part of it. You tell yourself, "I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. The bills are paid, the dishes are done, you showed up for work. You even smiled at the cashier when you grabbed your coffee this morning. Everything looks okay from the outside. But inside? Inside there's a quiet war, a tension between the person you pretend to be and the one who's still whispering for help. You've been holding yourself together for so long that the absence of noise, the lack of conflict, the stillness, starts to feel like peace. But it's not. It's just numbness dressed up as calm. You know that moment when you drive home after a long day, radio off, city lights flashing through your windshield, and even the music feels too loud for your head? That's not peace. That's exhaustion disguised as control. Real peace doesn't come from avoiding the noise. It comes from facing it. The thoughts, the emotions, the hard conversations you keep swallowing because you're scared of what might spill out. Peace begins when you stop pretending that silence means everything's fine. Sometimes peace sounds like crying on your couch at midnight. Sometimes it sounds like finally saying the thing you've been holding in for years. Sometimes it's loud, a door closing, a phone call ending, your own voice shaking as you tell someone, "I'm not okay." Because peace isn't quiet, it's honest. It's the moment you stop forcing calm and start letting truth make noise again. So tonight, when you're alone in your room, the hum of traffic outside, the streetlights flickering through your blinds, don't mistake the silence for peace. Ask yourself, is this calm, or am I just holding my breath? Because real peace doesn't suffocate you, it lets you breathe again. Lesson 2. Pretending is heavy. Pretending to be okay is like carrying invisible weights through your day. You can't see them, no one else can either, but your body knows. Your shoulders stay tense, your jaw clenches, your breath catches somewhere between your chest and your throat. You wake up, same as always, to the muffled sounds of the neighborhood coming alive. Someone's garbage truck groans down the street. The neighbor's dog barks at nothing. Somewhere, a car alarm screams for a few seconds before surrendering back to silence. You pour your coffee, black and a little too strong, scroll through your phone and answer every, "How are you?" with the same 2 words that have become your armor. "I'm good." You even say it automatically. At work, at the grocery store, when the barista at the corner cafe hands you your latte and says, "Hey, how's your morning going?" You smile back, lift the cup, and reply, "Good, thanks." But there's a flicker in your chest that says otherwise. You don't even remember the last time good actually felt true. Pretending becomes muscle memory. You hold yourself upright when you want to collapse. You laugh when something inside you is begging for silence. And each time you do, the weight gets heavier. A little more pressure pressing down on your ribs, a little less room to breathe. No one sees it. From the outside, you look fine. You show up to work, you pay the bills, you post the weekend photo where you're smiling in perfect light. But your soul feels it. The ache that comes from constantly performing happiness. You carry it everywhere. In the tight smile you wear in the elevator. In the way you say, "I'm just tired," when someone asks what's wrong. In the long, quiet car rides home where you turn up the music because the silence feels too honest. It's heavy, pretending. It's like walking through the city with a weighted coat no one else can see. You look normal, but every step costs you something. And by the time you get home, the apartment feels too quiet, the TV too loud, and the only thing heavier than your body is the exhaustion of keeping your truth buried. You sit at the edge of your bed, the streetlight spilling soft gold through the blinds, and you feel it. That ache in your chest that no deep breath can erase. It's not sadness. It's not even loneliness. It's the fatigue of pretending to be fine when you're not. And here's the hardest part. After a while, you forget what lightness even feels like. You forget what it's like to laugh without effort, to speak without editing yourself, to look someone in the eye and say what's really true. But the moment you whisper those 2 honest words, "I'm tired," something begins to shift. It's small, fragile, but real. Because the truth is, that's not weakness. It's relief. Saying "I'm tired" isn't giving up. It's setting the bag down for a second and admitting that you've been carrying too much. And maybe, for the first time in a long time, you let your shoulders drop. You let the air fill your lungs. And you remember what it feels like to be human again. So if today feels heavy, if you've spent all your strength pretending you're fine, try saying it out loud, even if it's just to yourself in an empty room. "I'm tired." Let that truth sit beside you, because sometimes that's how healing starts. Not with a smile, but with a sigh. Lesson 3. Rest is not laziness. We've been told that rest is something we have to earn, that we're allowed to breathe only after we've pushed ourselves to the edge. That exhaustion means we're doing enough and slowing down means we're falling behind. But that's a lie we've been taught since we were kids, and somehow we believed it. You can see it everywhere. In the office worker hunched over a flickering computer screen at 10 p.m., nursing a half-cold cup of coffee. In the mom at the grocery store, pushing a cart with one hand while answering work emails with the other. In the student sitting in a 24-hour diner, textbooks spread out across the booth, the smell of fries and burnt coffee clinging to their hoodie, fighting to stay awake just a little longer. We call it dedication. We call it grind. But what it really is fear. Fear of being seen as lazy. Fear of not being enough. Fear that if we stop even for a moment, the world will move on without us. We live in a culture where "how are you" has become a competition of who's busier, who's more tired, who's juggling more. And when someone says, "I actually took the weekend off," you can feel the awkward silence that follows, as if rest needs justification. But here's the truth. Rest isn't escape. It's repair. You can't heal while you're sprinting. You can't find clarity when your mind never stops buzzing. You can't feel joy when your body is begging you to slow down. Think about the last time you actually sat still. No phone, no TV, no noise. Just the hum of your apartment, the faint whoosh of cars passing outside, and your own breath trying to find a rhythm again. Maybe it was a Sunday morning. The air smelled like fresh rain on concrete. Your coffee steamed beside you on the kitchen counter. And for a second, just a second, the world felt quiet enough for you to notice how tired you really were. That stillness wasn't laziness. That was healing trying to happen. Because burnout doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from pretending you're okay for too long. It comes from ignoring the signs, the headaches, the short temper, the 3 a.m. scrolling, the sigh you let out before answering another urgent email. We've mistaken exhaustion for achievement. We wear it like a badge, as if dragging ourselves through another day somehow proves our worth. But you're not a machine. You're a person, and even the strongest hearts need rest to keep beating. So maybe the bravest thing you can do today is close the laptop, turn off the notifications, and give yourself permission to pause. Sit on your porch and watch the streetlights flicker on. Take a walk without your earbuds in. Let yourself nap on a Tuesday afternoon without guilt, because sometimes rest is the most radical act of self-respect there is. It's saying, "I deserve to stop. I deserve to breathe. I don't have to earn that." The world won't fall apart if you take a break, but you might if you don't. So tonight, when the city hums outside your window and the world tells you to do more, choose differently. Choose to rest. Because you don't need to prove your worth through exhaustion. You prove it every time you choose to protect your peace. Lesson 4. You can't outrun pain. You can move cities. You can pack your bags, fill your car with cardboard boxes and false promises, and tell yourself, "I just need a change." You can switch jobs, end the relationship, get a new apartment with a view, and for a little while it almost feels like you've left the pain behind. New city, new coffee shop, new people who don't know your story. You walk down unfamiliar streets, the smell of bagels from the corner deli, the sound of a bus groaning as it stops at the intersection, the faint music drifting from someone's car window. It all feels different, cleaner somehow. You tell yourself, "This is what I needed." But a few weeks later, when the novelty wears off and the days start blending together again, you notice something. The same heaviness in your chest shows up when you're lying awake at night. The same ache creeps in when you're alone in the grocery store aisle, staring at rows of cereal boxes under harsh fluorescent lights. The pain didn't stay behind. It came with you. Because pain is clever like that. It folds itself into your luggage, nestles in the space between your sweaters and your regrets, and waits quietly for you to stop running. You can distract yourself all you want. Scrolling until your thumb goes numb, working late until you forget what silence sounds like, filling every weekend with people, noise, and movement. But no matter how fast you move, pain has a way of catching up to you, usually when you least expect it. It finds you on quiet nights when the apartment feels too big, when the glow from your phone is the only light in the room. It finds you on long drives down empty highways, When the radio fades between stations and you realize you've been replaying the same memory for miles. It finds you when you see a familiar face in a stranger, when a song you haven't heard in years comes on at a diner, and suddenly your throat tightens and your eyes sting. Because pain doesn't care where you go. It only cares whether you'll finally listen. You can't outrun it. You can't work your way around it. You can't bury it under a full schedule or a fake smile. The only way out is through. And through isn't clean, it's messy. It's tears at 2 a.m. in the bathroom with the shower running so no one hears you cry. It's writing words in your journal you don't want to admit are true. It's the awkward silence in therapy when you finally say what's been sitting on your chest for years. It's forgiving someone who isn't sorry, or forgiving yourself for staying too long. But here's the thing. Pain isn't there to destroy you. It's there to teach you something. It's your body's way of saying, stop pretending this didn't matter. It's your heart's way of whispering, you can't heal what you refuse to feel. Avoidance is what breaks you, not the pain itself. Avoidance turns a bruise into a wound that never closes. Avoidance is what keeps you living in reruns of the same story, wondering why every new beginning feels familiar. So sit with it. Let it speak. Pour yourself a cup of coffee. Look out the window at the traffic lights blinking red against the wet pavement and say, okay, I'm listening. Because pain, when faced head-on, loses its power. It becomes a compass instead of a cage. It stops chasing you and starts guiding you. You can rebuild your life as many times as you need to. Move again, start again, grow again. But this time, don't pack the pain away with your belongings. Unpack it. Hold it. Understand it. Because you can't outrun what's inside you, but you can walk with it until it no longer hurts to remember. Lesson 5. Connection starts when you stop performing. You've probably mastered the art of being liked, smiling on cue, asking others how they're doing, and never letting them ask you back. You've learned how to sound fine even when your voice trembles underneath. You're the strong one, the dependable friend. The one who remembers birthdays, who checks in, who says, I'm good before anyone can look too closely. You've built a version of yourself that everyone admires, and yet somehow no one really knows. You know the routine. You walk into work, drop your bag by your desk, and smile at your coworker by the coffee machine. Morning, how's it going? They ask. You shrug. Good, just busy. It's automatic, polite, safe. Later that day, you grab lunch from the same food truck on the corner, the smell of grilled onions filling the air, the hum of traffic vibrating through the sidewalk. You scroll through your phone while waiting for your order, liking photos, replying to texts with the same short answers. Nice. Congrats. You got this. Tiny doses of connection. None of them real. It's not that you're fake. You're just careful. You've learned that honesty can make people uncomfortable, so you filter yourself down to what's easy to digest. You perform your life. Smiles, small talk, self-control, while a quieter truth sits in the back of your throat, waiting for permission to speak. But here's the thing about pretending. People connect with your mask, not your soul. And the more convincing your performance becomes, the lonelier it feels. You start to notice it in small ways. The laughter that feels rehearsed. The conversations that circle around weather, traffic, and work, but never touch the heart of anything. The way you say, have a good one, and walk away, knowing that no one would notice if you didn't show up tomorrow. You wonder why you feel unseen, but it's hard for people to see you when you've built walls out of politeness and charm. Real connection, the kind that softens your chest and makes you exhale, doesn't live in perfection. It lives in imperfection. It starts in the moment you stop performing and say something real, like, honestly, I've been struggling lately. Or, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. It's scary, I know. There's a pause after you say it, a silence where you wonder if you've said too much. But then something unexpected happens. The person in front of you, maybe a friend, a coworker, a stranger at a coffee shop, their shoulders drop. They exhale, and they say something like, Yeah, me too. And in that tiny exchange, two simple, unpolished truths meeting in the middle, the room changes. The air feels lighter, the distance between you shrinks, because suddenly neither of you has to pretend anymore. Real connection doesn't need perfection. It needs presence. It needs the courage to show up as you are, messy, uncertain, real. That's where friendship begins. That's where love begins. That's where loneliness starts to loosen its grip. So the next time you find yourself smiling just to fill the silence, try something different. Try saying the thing that's been sitting in your throat for too long. Because somewhere near you, in that office, that cafe, that grocery store line, someone else is tired of pretending too. And maybe all they need is for you to be real first, because that's the secret. Connection starts the moment pretending ends. Lesson 6. Vulnerability is strength in disguise. You've been told to toughen up, to hold it together, to keep your chin up and your voice steady, even when your heart is breaking. Maybe it started when you were young, when you fell off your bike and scraped your knee and someone said, "You're fine, don't cry." Maybe it continued through high school, when you learned that showing emotion made people uncomfortable and that quiet pain was easier for others to be around. And so, somewhere along the way, you learned how to wear armor. You learned how to smile through the sting, to say it's no big deal, to hold your tears until you're alone in the shower, the water running just loud enough to hide the sound of your breathing. You built yourself into something solid, reliable, unshakable. But here's the truth. Armor might protect you, but it also keeps the light out. You walk through your days composed, keeping your emotions zipped up like a winter coat. You nod when your coworker says, "Rough week, huh?" You laugh politely at dinner even when your mind is miles away. You tell everyone you're fine, because being fine feels safer than being real. But every night, when the house goes quiet, when the glow from the streetlight flickers through your blinds, you feel it, that small crack forming under the surface. It's not weakness. It's your truth, asking for air. Because cracks are where the light gets in. They're how your heart breathes. Vulnerability isn't losing control. It's letting truth breathe after being suffocated for too long. You see it in the smallest moments. When your voice shakes as you tell a friend what's really been going on. When your eyes fill with tears in the middle of a conversation you didn't expect to matter this much. When you finally admit, "I don't know what I'm doing right now." That's not failure. That's freedom. In a world that rewards masks, being real is an act of rebellion. It takes more strength to say, "I'm struggling," than to pretend you've got everything figured out. Think about the people you truly trust, the ones you call when life hits hard. It's not their perfection that makes you love them. It's their honesty. It's the moment they tell you about the night they fell apart and somehow got back up again. It's the way their eyes soften when you share your pain, because they've been there too. That's what vulnerability does. It connects. It bridges the space between us. It reminds us that strength doesn't come from having no cracks. It comes from daring to be seen through them. So the next time you feel that lump in your throat, that tremor in your voice, don't swallow it down. Let it out. Let yourself cry in the car at a red light. Let your voice waver in front of the person you love. Let yourself say, "I'm not okay right now," without apologizing for it. Because vulnerability isn't falling apart. It's falling open. It's choosing to show the world that you're human, and there's nothing stronger than that. Lesson 7. You're not behind, you're rebuilding. The world moves fast, too fast sometimes. Everywhere you look, people seem to be sprinting ahead. New jobs, new houses, new relationships, new "I finally figured it out" posts. It feels like everyone's in motion while you're standing at the same intersection, watching the light turn green over and over again, but never stepping forward. You wake up early, scroll through your phone before your feet even hit the floor. Someone just got engaged. Someone else started a business. Someone your age is already on their second promotion. And suddenly, before the day even begins, you feel like you're already behind. You drive to work, traffic humming down the freeway, coffee in hand, radio on low. and you start counting all the places you thought you'd be by now. A different job, a bigger apartment, a clearer purpose. But instead, you're here, stuck in this same loop of almost. And it hurts, doesn't it? That quiet ache in your chest that whispers, "Why is everyone else moving while I'm still trying to figure it out?" But here's the truth you rarely hear. You're not behind. You're rebuilding. And rebuilding doesn't look glamorous. It looks like long nights of second guessing. It looks like starting over from scratch when you thought you'd be farther along. It looks like staying home on a Friday night because you just don't have the energy to pretend you're fine. It's the quiet mornings when you make coffee in your small kitchen, sunlight hitting the counter just right, and for a second, you realize that even if your life isn't where you wanted it to be, it's still yours. And maybe that's enough, for now. Healing takes time. Real time. Not the kind that can be measured in productivity apps or career milestones. Healing moves at the speed of honesty. The moment you finally admit, "I need to rest before I can rebuild." You're not lost. You're recalibrating. You're taking everything you've been through, the heartbreak, the mistakes, the lessons, the quiet nights, and learning how to build something stronger from it. Think about it like this. When a building falls, no one rebuilds it overnight. They clear the debris. They study what went wrong. They pour new foundation, one layer at a time, and then slowly, brick by brick, the new structure rises. It doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens quietly, in the dust and noise before anyone notices. That's where you are right now, in the foundation phase. And I know it's hard. Because no one claps for rebuilding. No one posts about the days you're just trying to hold it together. But this is the work that matters. The invisible work. The internal construction of a stronger you. So when you see someone else sprinting ahead, don't mistake motion for meaning. Some people are running so fast they don't even know where they're going. You're moving slower because you're being intentional. You're rebuilding with care. The detour you're on isn't failure. It's preparation. Every wrong turn, every pause, every "I don't know what comes next" moment, it's laying the groundwork for something that's going to last. And when it finally comes together, when you look back at this chapter, you'll realize you were never behind. You were rebuilding a life that actually fits. So take your time. Let others sprint if they need to. You're not in their race. You're on your own path, and every small step you take, and even the shaky ones, is still forward. Because the truth is, you're not behind. You're rebuilding. And that's the kind of progress that never disappears. Lesson 8. Healing doesn't look productive. Healing doesn't always look the way you think it will. It's not all yoga mats, candles, and inspirational quotes taped to your mirror. Sometimes healing looks like sitting on your couch at 2 p.m. in yesterday's clothes, your coffee gone cold on the table beside you, the TV playing some background noise just to fill the silence. Some days it looks like journaling, writing words that don't even make sense, scribbling circles on the page until you finally get one clear sentence out. Other days it's scrolling aimlessly through your phone, watching people who look like they have their lives together, while you sit there trying not to feel guilty for standing still. And then there are the days that don't look like anything at all, when you wake up, stare at the ceiling, and feel that heavy fog pressing down on your chest. You tell yourself you should get up and do something, but your body whispers, "Not yet." So you stay there, and you think that means you're failing. But you're not. Because here's the thing no one likes to say out loud. Growth is quiet. Real healing doesn't happen in highlight reels. It happens in the still moments. The grocery store parking lot where you sit for a few extra minutes before driving home. The long shower where you let the water hit your face until you forget what time it is. The evenings where all you do is make a simple dinner, wash the dishes, and breathe. We live in a world that worships productivity, where your worth is measured by how much you can do, how fast you can fix, how quickly you can move on. You take a few days to rest, and suddenly there's this quiet guilt whispering, "You're wasting time." But healing doesn't move on a schedule. It doesn't care about deadlines or morning routines or the illusion of progress. Sometimes it's invisible, like roots spreading beneath the surface after a storm, rebuilding what was torn apart, quietly, patiently, in the dark. Think about the seasons. Winter doesn't apologize for being still. The trees don't rush to bloom again just because it's uncomfortable to look bare. They wait, they rest, they gather strength unseen, and when the time is right, not when it's convenient, they grow again. You're the same way. Just because you can't see your healing doesn't mean it's not happening. Every breath you take instead of giving up, every tear you let fall instead of holding it in, every morning you wake up and decide to try again, even when trying just means getting out of bed, that's movement. That's progress. Healing is messy. It's non-linear. It's full of pauses and detours and I thought I was over this moments. But that doesn't make it worthless. It makes it real. So if today looks like doing nothing, if your biggest accomplishment is simply taking a shower or stepping outside for 5 minutes, be gentle with yourself. You're still moving forward, even when it feels like you're not. Because healing isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And sometimes that rhythm slows down so your heart can catch up. So the next time you find yourself sitting in silence, staring at your ceiling, wondering when the fog will lift, remember this. You are not stuck. You are growing in ways the world can't see yet. And someday soon, when the light finally filters back in, you'll realize that every quiet day, every still hour, every moment of rest was rebuilding you from the inside out. Lesson 9. Stop apologizing for being human. You don't owe anyone constant smiles. You don't have to keep your voice steady when your heart is breaking. You don't have to apologize for crying in the middle of a sentence or for needing time to catch your breath. You don't have to be okay all the time. But somewhere along the way, we were taught that we did. We learned to say sorry for everything that makes us human. Sorry, I'm being emotional. Sorry, I'm overreacting. Sorry, I'm not fun today. We apologize for needing rest, for saying no, for showing up quiet instead of cheerful, for not smiling when someone says, "Come on, cheer up. It's not that bad." It's like we were raised to believe that emotions make people uncomfortable, that the only acceptable version of ourselves is the one that doesn't feel too much, or ask for too much, or take up too much space. You can see it everywhere. In the office break room, where you excuse yourself to cry in the bathroom stall, then splash cold water on your face before walking back out like nothing happened. In the grocery store, where someone bumps into you and you say sorry even though it wasn't your fault. In traffic, where you bite your lip to hold back tears because you don't want the driver next to you to see. We apologize for existing in ways that aren't polished. But you're not broken. You're human. And there's nothing wrong with that. You feel things deeply because you're alive. That heaviness in your chest when someone hurts you, that lump in your throat when you watch a movie that hits too close to home, that quiet ache that lingers after an argument or a loss, that's not weakness. That's your humanity. Proof that you're still connected to something real. The world moves so fast that we've started to mistake numb for strong. We celebrate people who keep it together and hide the ones who fall apart. But the truth is, the ability to feel, to really feel, is not a flaw. It's a skill. It's a kind of wisdom that can't be faked. Think about the people who have touched your life the most. The ones whose kindness changed you, whose words stuck with you long after they stopped speaking. They weren't perfect. They weren't emotionless. They were real. They were messy. They were honest about their cracks, their fears, their tears. And that's what made them unforgettable. So why are you trying so hard to hide yours? You're allowed to take up emotional space. You're allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to cry in public. You're allowed to tell someone, "I can't handle this right now." You don't need to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You don't need to edit your emotions into something more acceptable. You're not a burden for feeling deeply. You're just brave enough to feel it all. Next time you catch yourself saying sorry for crying, stop for a second and ask yourself, what are you apologizing for? For being alive? For caring too much in a world that tells you not to? For needing a moment to breathe before pretending again? Don't apologize for being human. Apologize for all the times you made yourself smaller than you are. Because emotions aren't the problem. Disconnection is. And when you numb yourself to the pain, you also numb yourself to the joy, the laughter, the love, the small, beautiful moments that make life feel worth it. So go ahead. Cry if you need to. Laugh too loud. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Take up space. Take up your space. Because the world doesn't need a quieter version of you. It needs a real one. And the day you stop apologizing for being human is the day you finally start living like one. Lesson 10. The real you is enough. You don't have to fix everything to be worthy of love. You don't have to have the perfect morning routine, the perfect body, or the perfect words. You don't have to always know what comes next. You don't even have to be healed. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. And in that process, that beautiful, messy, uncertain process, the real you is already enough. You wake up in the morning, sunlight spilling through half-open blinds, the hum of the city starting outside your window, the distant sound of a bus braking, the hiss of sprinklers watering front lawns, a neighbor walking their dog and chatting with someone across the street. You pour yourself a cup of coffee. The smell fills the kitchen, bitter and warm, and you lean against the counter for a moment, staring at the steam rising from the mug, thinking about all the ways you've tried to be better. Better friend, better employee, better partner, better version of yourself. It's exhausting, isn't it? Always chasing an image that feels just out of reach. The version of you that's calmer, stronger, thinner, richer. Someone who finally has it together. Oh, but here's the quiet truth. That version of you doesn't need to exist. Because the one standing here right now, tired, uncertain, a little cracked but still trying, is already enough. You don't need to fix your entire life to deserve love. You don't have to hide the parts of you that are still healing. You don't have to apologize for not being perfect. You're allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. The real you, the one who forgets to respond to texts sometimes, who cries in traffic, who laughs too loud at the wrong moment, who gets overwhelmed and overthinks and still hopes anyway. That's the you the world actually needs. Because the world doesn't connect to perfect, it connects to real. You see it in the small moments. The barista who smiles even though they're clearly tired. The stranger who holds the door open for you. The friend who admits they're struggling too. Those aren't polished moments, they're human ones. And that's what makes them beautiful. When you finally stop performing, when you stop forcing yourself to be who you think you're supposed to be, something incredible happens. Peace returns. Not the kind that's quiet because you're suppressing everything, but the kind that feels like finally breathing again. The kind that fills your lungs after holding your breath for years. The kind that doesn't depend on achievement or appearance or approval, just presence. You start noticing the small things again. The way your coffee tastes when you're not rushing out the door. The way the sky looks softer right before sunset. The way laughter sounds when you're not worried about being judged. The way it feels to just exist without needing to prove anything. That's what happens when you accept yourself. Life stops being a performance and starts being real again. And yes, some people might not understand that version of you. The quieter one. The slower one. The one who doesn't chase validation anymore. That's okay. Because the ones who matter, the ones who truly see you, they'll recognize you immediately. They'll exhale around you. They'll say, I don't know why, but it feels easy to be myself when I'm with you. That's what authenticity does. It gives others permission to be real too. So let yourself be messy. Let yourself be unfinished. Let yourself be you. Because you don't have to earn the right to exist as you are. You already do. And maybe tonight, when the city outside your window starts to quiet down, when the streetlights flicker and the hum of traffic fades, you'll finally take a deep breath, the kind that fills you from the inside out. And you'll whisper to yourself, I am enough. Just like this. And for the first time in a long time, you'll believe it. At the end of the day, pretending steals your peace, and honesty gives it back. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be real. You don't have to be happy all the time. You just have to be honest. And maybe that's what you've been searching for all along. Not perfection, not constant positivity, Just a place where you can finally stop performing and breathe again. Because the truth is, pretending is exhausting. Smiling when you're breaking inside, laughing at jokes that don't land, saying I'm fine when you're not. It chips away at your spirit, one tiny piece at a time. But the moment you start being honest, something shifts. The noise quiets. The tension in your chest loosens. The air feels different, lighter somehow. You start noticing the world again. The sound of your neighbor's screen door closing at dusk. The flicker of the streetlight outside your apartment window. The smell of fresh rain on the sidewalk after a long day. And you realize the peace you were chasing was never out there. It was waiting inside you, hidden under all the pretending. So here's your invitation. To stop performing and start living. To stop saying I'm fine and start saying I'm healing. To show up as the person you already are. Raw, imperfect, and beautifully real. You've made it all the way here. Through every lesson, every truth, every quiet moment that probably hit a little closer to home than you expected. That says something about you. It says you're brave. It says you're ready. It says you've already started. Because people who aren't ready to face themselves don't stay through stories like this. But you did. And that means there's something in you. Something honest. Something awake. That's choosing to grow. So tonight, when the video ends and the city outside keeps moving, the cars humming down Main Street, the faint buzz of a diner sign still glowing in the dark, the world rushing past as it always does. Don't rush with it. Take a moment. Breathe. Let what you just heard sink in. And if this message stirred something inside you, if it made your chest ache a little, or your eyes sting for reasons you can't quite explain, don't let that feeling fade when the screen goes black. Let it mean something. Let your first act of honesty today be simple. If this spoke to you, like this video, not for me, not for algorithms, but for you. As a small, quiet promise to yourself that says, I'm ready to be real. Then, subscribe to Honest Clown, not just to keep watching, but to keep growing. Because this space isn't about perfection, it's about truth. And you belong here, in this community of imperfect, beautiful human souls, learning how to breathe again. And finally, in the comments, I want you to write one truth you've been too afraid to say out loud. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Because sometimes saying it out loud, even in a comment section, is the first tiny step toward freedom. Maybe your truth is I'm tired. Maybe it's I miss who I used to be. Maybe it's just I'm trying. Whatever it is, let it out. You might be surprised how many people breathe a little easier because you did. Because honesty is contagious. And the moment you choose it, the moment you stop pretending, everything changes. The way you breathe, the way you walk, the way you see your life. This is your life. Your real one. Not the polished version. Not the filtered one. The one that laughs too loud, cries too easily, gets scared, gets lost, gets back up. This is your moment to stop pretending and start becoming real. And when you do, you'll find that the world doesn't reject the real you. It's been waiting for you all along, so breathe. Be proud of yourself for showing up and remember, you are already enough.